The big story, the future on the line. General Motors announcing historic cuts.
The automaker launching its restructuring plan, and it's one that will be painful for thousands of families right here in Metro Detroit.
Here's what we know. GM will lay off 14,700 factory and white-collar workers in North America. General Motors also stopping production at 5 plants by the end of next year, and they're cutting 6 vehicles. 2
of those plants are right here in Metro Detroit, the Detroit-Hamtramck plant and Warren Transmission. The other plants are in Ohio, Maryland, and Ontario. These cuts are all about the future. General Motors trying to protect itself from an economic downturn. The automaker now saying the cuts aren't linked to tariffs, but GM says this is also part of its efforts to retool for the creation of autonomous vehicles. President Trump, just a short time ago, saying he spoke with GM CEO Mary Barra.
I was very tough. I spoke with her when I heard they were closing. And I said, you know, this country's done a lot for General Motors. You better get back in there soon. That's Ohio. And you better get back in there soon. So we have a lot of pressure on them. You have senators, you have a lot of other people, a lot of pressure.
We have Team 7 coverage. Kim Russell is at the Warren Transmission plant, but we begin with 7 Action News reporter Jim Kurtzner live at the Detroit-Hamtramck plant where hundreds of workers are losing their jobs. Jim?
And this Poletown plant has been working in slow motion, if you will, only one shift every 4 days. Today is not one of those working days. Let me walk around and show you. There are only a couple of cars in the parking lot here. That's been the case all day, just maintenance workers. Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan says he got a call from Mary Barra this morning with the bad news.
She explained the problem to me, that they've got an excess of plant capacity in cars, and the Detroit-Hamtramck plant has always been a place tooled for cars.
The Poletown plant makes the Chevy Volt, Chevy Cruze, Buick LaCrosse, and Cadillac CT6. All those cars are also being discontinued. Analysts say this belt tightening is for GM to catch up to the reduced demand for cars, now only a third of the market share, with growth in SUVs and crossovers. 1,500 hourly and salaried workers are affected. Traditionally, the higher seniority hourly workers could transfer to other plants. The mayor says they should work together to retool this plant.
You have a modern plant, and while I understand the crossovers and the trucks are selling, I want us to do everything possible to explore the possibility.
Mayor Duggan says former Detroit Mayor Coleman Young paved the way for General Motors to build this modern plant back in the 1980s, and it and the city are now getting the short shrift.
That we moved thousands of people out of that neighborhood, hundreds of businesses, 6 churches and a hospital, to create that assembly plant.
Now, the hourly workers inside this plant, you can see, are represented by UAW Local 22 right below the fence there. We called that union office. They said no comment, then hung up the phone on us. Clearly, this is a tough day for all people involved in this plant. The other plant being closed here in Metro Detroit, over in Warren. Kim Russell has that part of the story. Kim?
Yes, Jim, this is a huge facility. It's 2.1 million square feet, but it only employs about 335 people right now, all of them wondering what their future holds.
In a press release sent out this morning, General Motors said by the end of 2019, there will be no vehicles allocated to the Warren Transmission Operations Plant. That means there will be nothing to produce, and work at the plant will stop.
I feel stress for him because he has put so much of his heart and soul into General Motors, and so many other people have as well, and they all deserve to know what's coming next.
Patricia Allen says her husband has worked for General Motors for more than 30 years. She says workers want to know what the future holds. Warren Mayor James Fout says he got a call from a GM exec this morning and asked that very question.
But he did indicate to me that they will be offered another job, not at obviously this facility, but at a nearby facility. And
this area, this city, it affects everybody around here. We're all tied to the plants.
At the donut factory in Warren, owner Lillian Teseski says cuts in industry impact everyone. The mayor says he wants to reassure the community. Warren is still seeing growth in the auto industry. General Motors is moving its Cadillac brand headquarters to Warren and hiring thousands at the tech center.
looks good for Warren and for Chrysler and General Motors, but for that small segment, it's pretty disappointing and sad.
The mayor said GM told him if those workers are not interested in job transfers, they may be offered buyouts.
I mean, I would like to see faithful General Motors employees stay with General Motors, but if their path takes them elsewhere because that's where they need to go, I hope that they find success and happiness in their lives.
We all hope that. And again, this is a large facility, 2.1 million square feet. The other question is, what is going to happen to this property? I asked the mayor of Warren that, and he says GM actually gave him a little bit of an answer. We'll have that ahead on 7 Action News at 6. Reporting live in Warren, Kim Russell, 7 Action News.
Definitely a tough day for the automaker as well as all those GM workers. All right, Kim, thank you. Well, investors are showing faith in the move. Today, GM stock closed up nearly $2 a share, ending at $37.65.
And please head to WXYZ.com for a closer look at the closures and a timeline of when the job cuts will begin.